How are you? Are we well? It's lovely to see 1,300 people here today. Who's so excited they just can't hide it? They're about to lose control and they think they like it. Put your hand up. Who is moderately engaged in what's going to happen over the next few days? Who's come here by mistake? Who over the last year has watched the tortuous passage of the Health and Social Care Act and thought, yes, that has a clear rationale and evidence base, I buy into that? Put your hand up. Who still isn't entirely sure what an overarching clinical senate is? Who on Newsnight, when faced with Paxman, could give a really good distinction between Health Watch and the Health and Wellbeing Boards? Who wants to be the new boss of the Care Quality Commission? Lots of questions there. Who actually, because it's a nice conference, who has a clear idea about how nice fits into the new world order? But yeah, this is a serious question. Who thinks, yes, I know how nice fits into this new landscape? Not even Gillian's putting her hand up for that one. So 3 of you. So that's actually one of the reasons that we're here today. Mike always says I try to flog you something as we start. As you know, I'm a bit of a bottom-up man rather than a top-down man. On my website, this is what I produced in the last year. I'm quite proud of this, actually. It's been submitted for an International Journalism Award. It's a supplement in private eye, written under my own name rather than a pseudonym, with a journalist called Andrew Bousfield called Shoot the Messenger. And it basically shows how we're pretty bad at listening to NHS whistleblowers. We still tend to shoot the person, isolate them, counter-smear them, take to employment tribunals, make it very hard for their message to be heard. And it seems to me in this new culture, the test, the cultural bellwether of whether reforms work is whether it's easy for people on the bottom to raise concerns. We know in this week's Health Service Journal, it said that a lot of people working in quality management and places like the Care Quality Commission, the numbers seem to be going down. So it's absolutely vital for health and quality and safety that people on the front line feel that they can put their hand up and raise concerns. So let's have a quick show of hands here. How many people in the position they're working at the moment feel that if there was a serious safety concern, they could blow the whistle or raise concerns about it without any detriment to their career? Put your hand up if you feel you're in that position. Excellent. How many people aren't convinced that they wouldn't suffer some sort of persecution or career? Okay. And how many people think they'd be heard? How many people think actually people are listening to me when I raise these concerns? I put my hand up at the RCN conference, then people in positions of authority will listen to me and respond appropriately. We're not sure. So that, to me, is the cultural thing that needs to happen. I heard a great quote from a football manager who said, culture is what happens when I'm not there. And it's interesting, in an organisation, the culture is what happens when the bosses and the people are turning. And that actually seems to be fundamental. I think what we're embarking on here is a huge cultural shift. We'll probably hear that it needs to be incremental. It might take 1 year, might take 2 years, might take 10 years to achieve this. But ultimately, the question seems to be the new clinical commissioning groups are supposed to be the new engine rooms for NHS reform. So my final question is, how many people think that the clinical commissioning groups will have the freedom that they need to be the liberating engine rooms of the NHS? Put your hand up if you think they will have that freedom. Malcolm? Excellent. Good. Malcolm? How many people think I'm actually deeply sceptical they'll be given the freedom? Put your hand up. And how many people actually think they should have assumed autonomy? How many people think actually we'd assume that these groups are competent, they know what they're doing, we should assume they should be autonomous? How many people think they should be earned? So who thinks we need to earn our autonomy? They need to prove that they can do the job? And how many people think we should assume that clinical commissioning groups will have the expertise to do what they need to do? Well, there was a laugh there. That wasn't even a joke. That's good. So these sort of big issues will be coming out. I think as NICE moves into public health, that's a big area here, but NICE and the National Commissioning Board are sort of almost going to be equals, I guess. So if they were in a fight, who do you think would win? Who do you think NICE would beat the National Commissioning Board, the NHS Commissioning Board in a fight? Put your hand. This is how we're going to end. It's interesting dichotomy. We sort of the Department of Health like a cherry on the top, and we have NICE, and we have the Commissioning Board, we have all the various regulators. How's it all going to fit together? Well, hopefully this will all I shan't say unravel, it will all become clear over the course of the next day and a half. We're going to kick off with a very distinguished guest. He's the chair of the new NHS Commissioning Board. He's going to be talking about improving outcomes for patients and securing a sustainable NHS. A big round of applause, please, for Professor Malcolm Grant.